0-10 Max Verstappen only came in 6th place in Bahrain, and that's not good at all. His team and Max are really upset about it. Even though Saturday's practice went badly, the four-time champion now knows for sure that his race car is terrible, and he can't win the championship this year. 0-29 But will this make Max want to join a different team? And if he stays, how can he help his car builders fix the problems quickly? Max's race was like a crazy roller coaster ride. At one point, he was in dead last place when he came in for his second pit stop, but then a safety car came out at just the right time for him, so Max decided to stay on the track. This smart move helped him get points by passing Gasly on the very last lap, and he managed to finish in 6th place. 0-56 But this was nowhere near the kind of race he wanted to have. During the whole race, Max kept complaining that his car's brakes weren't working right, and Hamilton passed him when Max's tires started losing their grip. The four-time champion said on his radio, "I can't even brake anymore. This is crazy." 113 That wasn't the only angry message Max sent to his team. At one point he said everything in the car was getting too hot, which might have included himself, because he wasn't feeling comfortable in the car at all. A bad day for the team got even worse when Max had to make a second pit stop way too early in the race, which dropped him to last place on the track. 131 The lucky break with the safety car helped him move up a few spots for free, but getting stuck behind an Alpine car and a Haas car because of his brake and balance problems is just too big of an issue for the team to ignore. After the race was over, Max's message was short and angry when he said, "Ugh, oh my god, that was so hard. Jesus." 154 The brake problems are something we heard about a lot during Saturday's practice too, and there are tons of statements from Helmut Marko about how badly this needs to be fixed so Verstappen can drive at the level he wants. But seeing Tsunoda driving almost as fast as Verstappen in both practice and the race shows that the RB21 car is really bad. 213 And if it's not fixed in the next few races, then they're definitely going to be stuck in the middle of the pack with all the slower teams. Of course, there are other things that need to be worked on too, like how slow the team's pit stops are. This is hurting Max's already tiny chances of being able to compete with the fast cars, though it's worth saying that the four-time champion has already given up any hope of competing at the front anytime soon. 237 Even though Max showed that he can get a lot more out of the car than it should give him, there are some things that are just impossible for him to control. For example, to slow pit stops that cost him about 10 seconds of sitting still are nothing to be proud of, even though you could blame the flashing lights that gave the driver the go-ahead signal. 254 This is an unlucky situation that we hope won't happen again, but seeing Verstappen stuck behind an Alpine car for such a long time and getting passed by an 18-year-old Antonelli so easily is just not a good sign at all for Red Bull. There's no doubt that they need to do a lot of work on the car, whether we like it or not. Max can't always put the car in first place or just drive it to the very limit. 316 The roughness of the track surface has been a really hard challenge for Max, and what's even more unlucky is that he showed the rest of the drivers that the hard tires just don't work well. After switching from the soft tires to the hard ones, Max had a really hard time getting the tires to work properly, and he sent some angry messages to his team about it. 337 Besides complaining about the brakes, he also said that the car wouldn't turn, and obviously that's not a problem you want when you're slowing down from 180 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds as you come up to turn 1. This is now opening up a whole bunch of questions. Will Max stay with the team if things keep going in this bad direction? The four-time champion has a special clause in his contract that both Marko and Horner have admitted exists. 402 And if Red Bull keeps going down this path, then you can be sure that Verstappen is going to look at how that other teams are doing. We've seen that Mercedes is honestly the second fastest team in 2025. And just a couple of years ago, everyone was laughing at them when they got everything wrong with their car design. 420 Talks between Max and Mercedes, as well as Aston Martin, that have happened before, which means the four-time champion is keeping his choices open. Max himself made a really sad statement before the race when someone asked him how much of a chance he has for the 2025 championship from where he sits now. 438 To this question, Verstappen answered, "McLaren isn't my competition right now. I'm just taking part in this championship. No, I don't see myself as someone who can win the 2025 title. If you look at how far behind McLaren I am, I'm not surprised. I already told the team during winter testing here that the gap is half a second, and that's exactly what it turned out to be. 456 So I was right about that. If you look at the whole season, I don't think we ever really had a chance. If other drivers make mistakes, like in Suzuka's practice session, then we can be ahead of them. In Suzuka it was impossible to pass other cars, but that's not always the case. It's one thing to have a sudden problem with the car, but to crush Verstappen's spirit in such a short time is just too much, even for Red Bull standards. 518 Yes, they finally have their second driver getting points, and it's the first race. since Las Vegas 2024, where both of their drivers finished with points. But the way it happened is just too bad for us to accept. But if we look at how the race naturally went, even a 6th place finish from Max is something he would have been happy to take once he came out of the pits in dead last place. 5:38, thanks to the safety car and how fresh his new tires were, he was able to move up all those spots. Otherwise, he was in danger of getting passed by the second Alpine car driven by Duhan. Even in these tough times for Red Bull, their strategy seems to be working. But you can't always count on this kind of scenario like the Bahrain Grand Prix if you want to keep a 4-time world champion happy. 6 o'clock, this is the perfect time to ask this question since the Austrian team lost a lot of progress because of the internal fighting that hurt the team not too long ago. When key people left Red Bull, it's definitely hurting their car development because there's no other team on the track except Aston Martin that's getting worse with their progress rate right now. 6:19, every weekend we're seeing a new problem with the RB21 car, and to get pole position in Suzuka and then fall to 7th place on Saturday in Bahrain just 1 week later is just not okay at all. Getting stuck behind a Haas and Alpine car for most of the race isn't something to brag about either. So whatever happens, Max will definitely have a lot to say to the engineers and the bosses of the team in the coming weeks. 6:43, the question is, will he stay true to who he is and will he push hard to help rebuild this team? Or will he choose to join up with some of Red Bull's rival teams? Unfortunately for Max, he can't take advantage of both McLaren drivers being really strong and taking points away from each other because right now he's not even in the 3rd fastest car on the grid. 7:06. Mercedes and Ferrari turned out to be much better than the RB21 car. And if it hadn't been for the safety car situation, there was a good chance that Max wouldn't have even finished with any points. So we need to ask this question. Is it really possible that Verstappen might move to another team before the new rules come in? When talking about this and looking at it more deeply, Brundle from Sky F1 said, I think if Max Verstappen became available, I'd be pretty worried for George Russell, actually, because Kimi is obviously their guy they're counting on for the future. 7:35, but there are lots of what-ifs in there. George is doing a great job for them as a team leader, but Toto missed getting Max once before. I don't think he'll miss him a second time if he gets the chance. With all of this in mind, what do you think about Max's season so far? And more importantly, do you think the problems in Bahrain are going to continue in the next races too? Let us know in the comments below. 7:56, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's showing up on your screen right now.